Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you give me the access to share the link?
Which link? The one for Zoom platform.
Share the screen. Share the screen.
Share the screen. Oh yeah. Prana Prabhu, if you're, oh, I see, he's no longer here. Let's see.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have the
I
facility.
okay.
Prana Prabhu
I'm
just
just
put the recording on,
sharing.
and can you please try to share it now, Prabhuji, as you have given the title of being the host here, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe that would help.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Good. Hare Krishna. मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथमितं तं भजियो सादयितं स्वादुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधी वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि प्रेमञ्च कल्पतरुः कृपा सिन्धवैश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining the Bhagavad Gita class. Um, till last class, we have discussed up to text number 2.28. Last class couldn't happen the week before because the Saturday week before because of power shutdown at my place due to heavy rain. So what we have discussed till text 28 is that we have considered uh, the chemical. If we have considered that the chemicals, if the relatives are all chemicals, if Arjuna says uh, if the relatives are all chemicals, then anyway they are going to die. So they came to life from some chemicals, and after that they will be only getting transferred into chemical. So why we need to really worry about? But this type of understanding makes the entire life meaningless. So this is complete leaving the entire thing to the chance, possibility of chance, and so on. Now, why this is absurd? Because in our regular dealings in our life, we see that mother loves the child very much. And why? We can always say that some chemical is secreted in the brain of mother, and so she loves the child. But then it is reducing the entire emotion to just chemicals. But this is not, we know that all said and done, it is not chemicals, it is the real love, because the mother has to undergo severe pain to deliver a baby. But the baby, which is the cause of all the pain, is still very, very dear to the mother. And Prabhupada has quoted in many places that the unconditional love that we speak in our scriptures, especially the Bhakti scriptures, is the iota of that is seen only in the mother's love for a child which she has given birth to. So this love is something very, very far and richer than the chemical. So if we were chemicals, why will we have emotional feelings? So this is not going to happen. And same way, Arjuna, Krishna is using this specific sentence, Avyaktadini Bhutani, Vyakta Madhyani Bharata, Avyakta Nidanani Eva Tatra Ka Paridevna. So what does it mean? It means that everything is, if everything is destructible, ultimately, then in the unavoidable circumstance of their relatives, that why he need to lament. So it's just a set of chemicals. Why he has to lament? Krishna is once again saying that it is inevitable to avoid that, whether they are chemical or whether they are emotional being. So that was the. This is something that we saw in the last week. Now let us look at text number 22.29. This is a very interesting shloka. आश्चर्यवत् पश्चित् कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चन्य आश्चर्यवत् चैनम् अन्य शृणोति श्रुत्वापि येन वेदन चैव कश्चित्. So there is use of ascharya in two places, in three places. Ascharya when seeing, ascharya when we are speaking about it, badati. Ascharya when we hear about it. Shrutuvapi, some people, even after seeing, even after hearing, even after talking so much, cannot understand them at all. So this is telling about how soul is so special. So this is the concluding part of this section where Krishna is discussing about body and soul. And throughout our discussion, we have addressed the points which Krishna has talked about. But now this is very interesting. So here, Ascharyavat is repeated thrice in the verse. This is indicating the progressive understanding of the soul. Some people see the soul as amazing. Some people talk about it as amazing. Some people hear about the soul as amazing. And some people hear and talk about soul as amazing. The last one is the implied and continuation of the thought. So, what is Krishna talking about here? Some people see the soul as amazing. See, if we see the soul with enlightened vision, Srila Prabhupada writes that in the previous purport, he writes that the soul is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the air. So, Keshagat Satabhagasya. So that means the tiny soul it is so small, it is invisible, but it is animating the body of a giant whale. It is a massive elephant. It animates massive elephant. It can be part of a huge sequoia tree which lives for millions of years or at least thousands of years. The same soul, that means the same type of soul is animating body of a huge organism, or it is also animating a body of microscopic organisms like bacteria and virus. This Ascharyavat, this amazing thing is on the size. So this is what we see, and sometimes we see that soul is occupied in the body of a strongly built, aggressive man. We see people in movies; they build strong muscles. They look so aggressive. At the same time, the soul is part of a weak and a timid guy. So how the nature, how the soul has such a nature that it has potency for adapting to different inclinations, completely different inclinations. And then we see that soul is eternal. We pick up that inclination and try to make our concurrent life eternal. So soul is eternal, and why there is so much hubbub in the life of every human being or every animal. We think. that we are going to stay here forever. But that characteristics that we will be living in this world eternally is coming from soul. The world is temporary. We are struggling every day. But when we understand that we already are an eternal being, and and for us to understand that we are eternal nature is just an understanding. It's just an understanding. We need to shift that we are not this body, we are this soul. This itself will give us such a relief that we need not have to struggle a lot to take care of this body. So this is amazing. The soul is Sachidananda. Sachit means, such means truth. It's full of consciousness, it's full of bliss. Such means eternal. We try to do different things to be happy, but this is not required because soul by nature is full of ananda, full of happiness. So, only the basic realization that I am a soul brings lot of happiness. So, what all things we saw? It is animating a huge organism. It is also animating a microscopic organism. It is animating a strong and aggressive guy. It also animates a weak and timid. So, in the previous case, it was the size. The second case, it's more towards the inclination. Third, we see that we have this tendency to believe that we are going to remain eternal in this material world. This also comes from soul. So the soul, this thinking that if I am not this body but this soul, this thinking itself is amazing. This brings um, this brings us to a level that we are gaining spiritual knowledge and spiritual realization. So, for us to understand that we are not this body and we are this soul, we need to read spiritual, gain spiritual knowledge, and gain spiritual realization. Then we perceive the soul. So, like we see each other, the self realized soul see at the spiritual level. So, that means every Uttamadhikari, they see every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna. They consider that as soul as part and parcel of Krishna. And when we see that, when this soul comes in illusion, it can become, or that person can become a ruthless terrorist who has no conscience while blowing up well, he blows up himself and kills thousands of people. So, how can this soul get perversion? So, we see that there are Uttamadhikari souls who see the soul as, who see every living entity as souls, and we also see people who have a perverted impression that by blowing up thousands of people and giving up life will result in eternal life. So, this is perversion, and we see that this way of thinking is also amazing how soul can be in both ends of the spectrum. And some people understand all this about the soul, and when they understand this they try to speak about it. They say the soul is so amazing. So what they say that there are two levels of perception. One level is uh, um, uh, one level is very spiritual. The other can be intellectual. So the people who speak about the soul, they can speak at the spiritual level or they can speak at the intellectual level. When they speak about this, they understand the soul more and more, and and this is based on Krishna's impression, which he gives in Bhagavad Gita. He says that Raja Vidya Rajagugyam Pavitra Midam Uttamam Pratyakshamadamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyam. Then he also says Tesham Satata Yuttanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. That we, when we develop love for Krishna, Dadami Buddhi Yogam, he gives the knowledge. So when we start talking about it and understand more and more how soul is wonderful and amazing, our understanding on it becomes more and more. So we have seen that some people see the soul. There are different ways in which we can see the soul. There are different, and when we speak, when we read about this and speak to people, just that speaking gives deeper understanding about the soul. And then some people hear about the soul and they became amazed, and they say that they never knew that they are not this body, they are soul. They come to understanding that they are not going to die. It is not they who are going to die, but it is the body which is getting going to get deteriorated, and they need to change their body. So when they hear about the properties of the soul and they realize that they are not body but the soul and they are eternal, they feel amazed. This is amazing. So Ascharyavat Paschit, seeing Kashchitenam, then we talk about it. And when people hear about this, they also become amazed. If we discuss these points to people, some of them cannot digest, they cannot accept. There are many scholars like Dr. Professor Kotovsky who said that we are body to Srila Prabhupada. When body dies, everything is finished. So if we discuss these points, some people cannot digest, they cannot accept. They are so much locked in the bodily condition. They see the idea of soul and body as amazing. So when Srila Baba used to tell that I am not this body, the devotees in the beginning of in beginning of 1960, 67, 68 and all, the neophytes, they were all neophytes. The devotees who were with Prabhupada, they were all neophytes. They used to think that Swamiji's body is not body, but they were all bodies. So this means that Swamiji, that Srila Prabhupada is a special person. He is not body, but he is soul. We are all still bodies. So this type of bodily conceptions results in blundering throughout the life, and hence we make our life complete disaster. So these type of people are amazing because they cannot comprehend soul. So it is amazing for them. So that is why we have this. That is why we have this told. Ascharyavat paschit kaschitenam ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanya ascharyavat chainam anyashrunoti shrutuvapi yena vedana chaiva kaschit. Now, there are acharyas who have given different alternate explanation for this. So till now we have discussed that soul is amazing. So if you see in the English, there is a figure of speech which is called as transferred adjective. So this transferred adjective brings aesthetics to the language. For example, and the traveler goes in the never-ending weary road. So never-ending weary road. Traveler goes in a never-ending weary road. This means it is not that road is weary, it is the traveler who is weary, but he is never ending his journey. So road is not made weary, instead traveler is weary. So this type of phrase brings beauty to the description and the state of the traveler. It says that the traveler is weary, and it makes that it brings out the determination of the traveler that is not going to stop in spite of being tired. So in the case of soul, it can also be applied. So speakers and these are nothing but speakers, seers, and the hearers, and the deluded ones. So these are the four people whom we are talking about. So previously we talked about soul. Now we are talking about the people. See, if we do this, it becomes only amazing people can see the soul. So soul is amazing to see. because it is occupying different organisms, different inclinations, different perversions, and so on. But there are people who see the soul directly. These are extraordinary people. They are advanced spiritualists. The spiritual vision is awakened. So they are in the Turiya stage of spiritual realization. So they do not see the soul, but they do not see the body. They do not see the living entity as a body, but they see them as a soul. So to them, to their eyes, um, everyone is the devotee of Krishna. So they are always seeing it. So they are always seeing at the level of souls. So there are some amazing people who see the soul, and there are some amazing people who speak about the soul. The knowledge of the soul is so rare. There are so many books in the world, but only Prabhupada's book speak about the soul. So one who speaks about the soul is the one who knows about it. He tells to the people that you have to do this, that, and so on, so that you can realize that you are not this body and you are soul. So these people are very, very amazing because there are very, very few people who can speak such things. So they are very special. These people need to be advanced, um, and because they are sharing the knowledge of and wisdom of Krishna, which centers on the soul and soul's relationship with Krishna, which is very, very rare. That is why this knowledge is rare, and when somebody speaks about this type of people are amazing. There are so many matters to speak. You just go on Google, you'll find amazing articles everywhere. But the most amazing thing is soul, and who speaks about soul is also the people who speak about the soul are also amazing. So, number of people who are doing this work are very, very tiny. And then there are some amazing people who hear about it. There are very few people who like to hear about the knowledge and wisdom of Krishna. They are very rare. In Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Krishna says, Manushyanam Sahasreshtu Kaschid Yadati Siddhe. It means Sahasreshu, out of thousands of people, only few people take advantage about the spirituality or want to hear about spirituality. There are so these people are also amazing because instead of hearing different other topics, they come and hear about Krishna and the Krishna's knowledge and wisdom. But there are some people who cannot understand that even after hearing so many instructions on this matter. These people are also rare. Now, this is not a sarcastic remark, but it is a rather a sad one. This is a very sad one because it is important to know why they are suffering, but they are not able to understand that they are not this body but this soul. No, they are not this body. They are soul because they are locked in material um, conditioning. They are locked in material conditioning. In Mahabharata, there is a interesting episode in which Yudhishthir Maharaj is questioned by his father Yamadharma Raja in the form of a crane. So one of the question which is asked is what is most amazing thing in the world? So Yudhishthir Maharaj says ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam sesha stavara ichanti kim ascharyam atapparam. So, so this is, and the answer is most amazing thing is thousands of people are dying every day, but we still think we will remain here. This is amazing. It tells the amazing stupidity of people. We should take out the exception. So what we have done is we take out the exception that we are exempted from death. So we hope for exception from the death, which is not going to happen. If we ask the people about death, they accept it nonchalantly. They say, "Yeah, yeah, I'm going to die." Uh, so what? Like that, they will accept it nonchalantly. But this is only their hollowness in understanding that death. They do not know that if they are not serving Krishna, they will glide down to the deepest regions of hell. So, so they think that there is some other entity which will die, and this type of people are amazing because they are locked into the material conditioning. So in this in this entire sentence or in this paragraph, we have seen subject, predicate, and object. That is, if I see that if I say I see you, I is subject, C is an action, U is object. So it can be written as, so now we have applied to the soul, which is the object here, and then it is also applied to subject. Now, now we will apply it to the and we will apply it to the action. So when you apply it to the action, it becomes some people amazingly see the soul. Some people amazingly hear about the soul. Some people amazingly talk about the soul, which means that when we do an act of speaking, giving logics, explaining the soul in different ways, then we can probably understand the soul. This knowledge that we talk about the soul sinks in. It is also amazing that some people do not understand the soul. Their understanding is also amazing. So here it is the action that we are talking about. Seeing, some people see them as different. Some people prepare to explain the soul in different ways and talk about it. That is also amazing. The way they speak or give the logics. So that is amazing. Then only the concept of soul sinks in the people. And when they understand it, it becomes amazing. This understanding becomes amazing. But some people cannot understand the soul. So Srila Prabhupada tells that they do not know and they do not understand. This is because they are too much attached to the material things. This attachment blinds them, and the attachments are simply so these attachments are like binding and blinding. So, for example, a alcoholic person constantly thinks of alcohol. So this is binding. You will think that while working, you will think today evening I will go and have alcohol. So he doesn't think anything else. He is he is blind against all his responsibilities. He is simply caught in alcoholism. Okay. So there is a very good example of Bilva Mangal Thakur, who was blinded by a prostitute Chintamani. This attachment to this prostitute, dragged Bilva Mangal Thakur through a storm. He caught hold of a corpse. He thought that it is a log of wood. He saw a snake. He imagined it to be rope. Thus, he was blinding. He was completely blinded. And in case of Billu Mangal Thakur, since he was a great devotee, he was delivered. Otherwise, it is complete disaster. So, this material conditioning and attachment to material things is blinding and binding. So, we need to hear from scriptures, and at the same time, we must give up the material attachment. This will help us fully understand the reality. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult to come out of this thing. Now, let me just share my screen again. So, going to shloka number 2.30. देहि नित्यम अवध्योया देहि सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न तं शोषितुमर्हसि. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. So, he is telling that is the final conclusion. Atmanyana is giving. They, the owner of the material body. Avadya, he cannot be killed. And tasmat sarvani bhutani, natam sositu, do not lament, natam sositum rasi.
Started
So, the possessor of the body cannot
huh?
be destroyed.
Not even a
All
single.
souls are destructible. All souls are indestructible. There is no special treatment that this soul is special, this soul is not special, this soul is eternal, this soul is not
Many
eternal.
people have not come at right. Huh?
Many schools are not by the books also.
No, they are not coming to class also, right?
And someone
So, so all souls are indestructible. There is no special treatment. In some of the religion, there is no proper concept of God. They have what is called as human soul, animal soul, and plant soul. But in case of Vedic civilization, Krishna consciousness, all humans have souls which are indestructible. All living entities have souls which are indestructible. So, in some of the religions, human souls are eternal, whereas plant and animal souls are not eternal. Therefore, they kill them and eat it. So, Krishna is telling Arjuna, do not lament because the compassion is restricted to the bodily platform. So, it should be restricted only to the body platform, and you should not get into the ignorance and get deluded. Thus, the death or is compassion is not worthy of grief. So you should not lament for death of his relatives on either side, either in his side or on the enemy side. So now, actually, what we have done is, now we have come to the end of this section of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is concluding this knowledge of soul and body, and he tells that, and he is emphasizing the point that the compassion which Arjuna was arguing as a reason for not fighting Arjuna, this argument is completely shattered by Krishna by giving the knowledge of body, soul, birth, and death. So this is very, very important for us to understand. From the next class onwards, we will get into the shloka 31. I stop here because I am not. I want our classmates to ask questions because we have not asked questions in last few classes. So I will stop here. Let us open up for question answer sessions. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Well,
Hare Krishna.
if I may, there are a couple of things that came to mind. Well, first of all, how is your view? What is the scope in other religious traditions for understanding, even for beginning to understand the soul? If we take namely Christianity and Islam, there are some talks about the soul, but is there any scope of understanding properly the subject matter or anything beneficial?
There's no, Prabhu, there is no clarity in soul in any religion other than the Vedic religion, especially Krishna consciousness. Even in the Vedic culture, very specifically, we need to understand the Krishna consciousness. There is Vaishnava culture and Gaudiya Vaishnava culture. So, Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta is very, very important because that gives much more clarity. I have spoken about this very elaborate in my previous previous sessions where I have talked about problems with Buddhism, problems with Islam, problems with Christianity, the atheism. So fundamentally, the knowledge of soul and knowledge of the soul and soul's relationship with God and its eternality. Eternality means there is no beginning, anadi, no, anadi, madhya, antam. There is no beginning, there is no end for soul. This understanding is so important that many of the problems in Christianity is like, for example, I just give you an example. According to Christianity, there is no rebirth, no reincarnation. But here, Krishna is telling that Dehino Asmin Yatade, after you give up this body, you take a new body. But according to Christianity, there is no reincarnation. So what is that they will do? What will happen to the child? So there are different ways. So some child is dying in the womb. So if you ask them, what will if you ask any Christian, what will happen to the child which is not born? They will say only some if somebody is born, they become impure and then they need to become Christian to get liberated. So this is complete paradox because the conclusion that you can draw is we can mindlessly abort all the children because they will be delivered to the kingdom of God if they are aborted. Only when they are born, there is a possibility they will go to hell. But if they are aborted, they go to heaven. Then they say that only Christ is the way. But then why there is a situation in Thailand where there is no Christianity at all? Why America alone has Christianity? That means what? God is partial. So they cannot explain. Okay. Um, Jesus was there only beginning of say 5,000, not 5,000, 3,000, 2,000 years back, or 3,000 years back, or 5,000 years back, whatever it is. Before Christ, what happened? What will happen to the men and women who were born before Christ? They cannot explain. What will happen to the people that Christianity has never reached? They cannot explain. So, all this Abrahamic religion do not have proper conception of soul, reincarnation. Either they will end up making the entire religion as a chance event. God created, and afterwards He left it to run on chance. So that results in more atheism. So people will think it is better to become atheist. But atheism is once again not a good method because the world's renowned atheist, Stalin, Hitler, and Mao Zedong, they kill millions of people. So there is no good basis for soul reincarnation, karma, material world, supreme personality of God anywhere other than in Krishna consciousness. So that is speciality about Prabhupada. That is why Prabhupada was able to, he was very thorough on the basis of Vaishnavism. I'm not trying to, uh, I'm just trying to glorify Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so strong in Vaishnava fundamentals that any philosophy he comes for his review, he used to quickly get to the point and say this is not okay because of these reasons. So I think Krishna consciousness has the right explanations for suffering in the world and relief for suffering in the world.
Well, that is a sound reply. Just one remark, if I can add something. I find it quite striking how come, well, the little that I have heard of discourses in other classes of faith or other sects, if one is to use the word, that how little there is the use of the word consciousness, which would be a crucial point to begin with in any kind of spiritual undertakings to address this topic of consciousness, but that doesn't seem to be there in Christian discourses or Islam discourses very much.
Yeah, so see, what happens is, when we talk about spiritual topics, it should result in transformation. Like we see, Ascharyavat Paschit Kashchitenam, Ascharyavat Vadati Tataiva Chanya, Ascharyavat Anya Shrunoti Shrutuvapi Yena Vedana Chaiva Kashchit. In all these religious gatherings where they speak about one hand clapping, non-violence, and so on, the people are not getting transformed. They have to give up meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. But if they are not giving up and drinking chicken soup in those seminars, then where is the question of deliverance from this material world? It's not possible. So it is amazing that this knowledge is never revealed to them because they do not want it to be revealed to them. So that is what, in spite of telling this so many times, it will never go to them because they don't want. They want to get fooled by all this wrong theories, philosophies, and so on. So, so it is only the mercy of devotee, the problems in life, which will help them understand that there must be something available in this world which will be remedy for my suffering. And then when they come in contact with a devotee and he gives them a book of Prabhupada, then he gets enlightened. Otherwise, no way it is possible.
His Grace Keshavanam Prabhuji puts it quite nicely by stating that in spiritual life one must begin with at the point of understanding oneself to be a complete fool, or that I don't know, actually I don't know anything. But that is not a very very enticing position for anyone to take. Rather, we think that I have it right and I'm performing so nicely, and that try to boost that one way or another. But it might be painful to start with the other more sober position. I think Mataji had some question or comment.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, you have any question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No question, Prabhu, today.
Okay.
Yeah, if that is the case, maybe I can still ask for clarity on one particular case. That as here, the last shloka, Krishna is explaining that one should not grieve, or there is no cause for such grieving on the grounds of the material body. But still, there is the case where I believe it is Abhimanyu who has been killed there on the battlefield, and then both Krishna and Arjuna are there lamenting. So this seems to be somehow contrasting. So basically, the question is that to what an extent should we be compassionate to the embodiment of the spirit soul?
Actually, this question was also asked by one of the Matajis in previous session. So we need to be compassionate. Only when we are compassionate, we will be able to give message of Krishna to people. Why we distribute books? Why Prabhupada was able to spread Krishna conscious movement? Because he was compassionate. So that compassion is for the soul. It's not for the body. So we need to be very clear about it. So there are spiritual things as well as the material things. So when we distribute books. We distribute books because we think this knowledge has to go to the people so that they get delivered from the material condition. So, that is why Krishna is telling this sloka, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agama Payana Anitya Stam Stiti Kshashva Bharata. So, Acharyas tell that Krishna has told Dehino Asmin Yata Dehe Kaumaram Yavanam Jara Tata Dehantara Prabhi Dhiras Tatra Namuyati. So this body, the soul is traveling from body to body after and when it dies, it moves to another body, so on. So we are not this body, we are the soul. But Arjuna is telling that Krishna, it's all okay, but they are my relatives. I will feel when they die, I will have compassion. I will be crying. So that time, what should I do? It will be painful for me. I will be crying. So Krishna is telling matras versus to contain. This type of pains and pleasures in life are like seasons, they come and go. We need to tolerate it. Now, the tolerate this is this also I have discussed in my session on this specific sloka. So, this tolerance is not impotence. This tolerance is to remain focused on your sadhana. That means, Arjuna, your son is going to die, your relatives are going to die, in both in this side as well as in the opposite side. But you should remain focused on your sadhana. That means we must feel bad that our relatives are dying. But what needs to be done? We need to establish the Dharma in this planet. So for that, Arjuna has 12. That is the desire of Krishna. So we should remain focused. Yes, we should feel compassionate for the departing soul, but that doesn't mean that we move away from our sadhana bhakti. So that is very, very important. So Arjuna is therefore practicing this. He feels very bad. He is compassionate. He cries when Abhimanyu gets killed. But immediately he takes the vow that he will be killing Jayadratha immediately. First is this view. Second view is that we need to have compassion because Vaishnavas are fundamentally compassionate. Krishna cannot stay in heart which is not soft. So we have to be soft hearted. So if you see the initial first chapter purports, uh, Prabhupada is mentioning that Arjuna is a Vaishnava. That is why, irrespective of whether he is enemy or a friend, he is feeling compassionate for him. So this is something which we need to do. So our takeaway is that this type of problems will come in life, but we need to remain resolute on doing our sadhana bhakti without any problems. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, that was quite an exhaustive reply to the inquiry. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
But I request you to please go through the discussions we had on these shlokas because I have talked about all these points in those shlokas, Prabhu. Okay. If there are no
Prabhu,
questions,
Hare
then
Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna
Vice
Prabhu.
Manaji.
Prabhuji, which are the shlokas, Prabhu? Just now you were
Matras
telling me.
Prashas. So, Mataji, if you see the from shloka number 20 to this 30, no? 11 to 30 only, all shlokas. I think I have covered it in three classes.
Okay,
So
Prabhu.
you can go through that. Shloka number 11 to shloka number 30. I think last three classes.
Okay, Prabhu.
Maybe from the beginning of May, I have taken 3 or 4 classes. In those classes, these points are all covered.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for joining the class. Vancha kalpatarubhya kripa sindhu bhayascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, घोर प्रेमानंद हरे कृष्णा. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.